What are the top 5 cognitive biases at work that will stop people getting vaccinated against COVID-19? And how can they be persuaded to change their mind and get the vaccine? Watch this video to find out the answers. So we have the vaccines. Actually, more than one. And as production builds momentum, we'll soon have the volume required to achieve herd immunity. Great, so we're all sorted. We can start planning on getting our lives back to normal. Well, no. You see, you don't just need vaccines. You need to get people vaccinated. And you need between 70 and 90% of the population to get vaccinated to achieve herd immunity. Again, great, no problem. We'll just let the logistics get sorted and we'll be on our way. Well, not quite. What if you have a significant cohort of people who don't want to get vaccinated? If that number is in the range of 30 to 40%, you may never achieve herd immunity, and you may give the virus enough time to evolve into a more deadly variant. The question we're looking at today is what cognitive biases are at play that may prevent a person to agreeing to get vaccinated, and how can we counter those biases? Is it correct to view a population through a demographic lens and attempt to understand why people don't want to get vaccinated? According to a recent study by BE Works, you can't simply attribute homogeny to demographic clusters in terms of understanding how people think about getting vaccinated. You have to understand both the who and the why behind vaccine hesitancy if you want to develop effective communication and information campaigns to persuade people to get vaccinated. By teasing apart the different cognitive factors that underlie vaccine hesitancy, it's possible to develop communication and behavioural interventions specifically targeted at mitigating those factors. From the research done by BE Works in Canada when looking at views on getting vaccinated, they identified 3 main cohorts within the population. The first group is secure. This group intend to get vaccinated as soon as it is available, and it made up 63% of the population. The second group on the fence are those who have made no decision either way, and they made up 28%. And the third group is opposed, those who will not get vaccinated, and they made up 9%. So a total of 37% of the surveyed population said they either would not get vaccinated or don't know if they would. This is definitely not inspiring confidence when it comes to driving towards 70% and herd immunity. Researchers have worked to understand the psychological factors that underpin anti-vaccination attitudes. For example, Brown et al. In 2015 and Hornsey et al. In 2018. This research has revealed that the factors that lead people to make choices to take vaccines are nuanced and affected by how they see the world, their perceptions of the choices people like them make, who they trust, and their perceptions of risk. Hesitancy factors are the psychological barriers to vaccine adoption. These barriers are distinct from operational factors such as access, cost, or idiomatic health risks. What differentiates attitudes towards vaccines is not demographics, except for some within Black or Indigenous population communities, but instead vaccine hesitancy is a function of how we think. Hesitancy factors are the psychological barriers. Spending as little as 10 minutes on an anti-vaccine website can influence vaccine hesitancy, demonstrating the powerful impact exposure to misinformation can have on some people. BE Works identified the 4 cognitive factors that predicted 42% of vaccination intent, while comparing that to all 14 demographic measures together that were only accurate at predicting 14% of vaccination intentions. The 4 cognitive factors are belief in conspiracy theories, valuing personal beliefs over empirical evidence, scientific knowledge, vaccine risk concerns. Understanding these factors is key to increasing vaccine uptake. Let's talk about belief in conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theorists were always in society, but they have for the most part been on the fringes of society and in the background without a strong voice. The rise and fall of Donald Trump helped feed those fringe conspiracy theorists and enable them to move from the fringe into the mainstream. This, coupled with the outbreak of COVID-19, has thrown a spotlight on how people get exposed to conspiracy theories and just how pervasive these are in society now. The research done by BE Works shows that the more likely you are to believe in conspiracy theories, the less likely you are to get vaccinated. It's not as simple to say that this only impacts those with the strongest anti-vaccination attitudes. A broader cohort of people are also influenced by conspiracy theories, and this may ultimately influence their behaviour when it comes to getting vaccinated. Even individuals who expressed medium-high intentions to vaccinate can believe that governments are lying to them about some aspect of COVID-19. When it came to valuing personal beliefs, people who are higher in intuitive reasoning and lower in analytical reasoning are more likely to be persuaded by mis and disinformation about vaccines in general or the COVID-19 vaccine. People most opposed to the vaccine believe 429% more in conspiracy theories than secure people. On defense, people believe 163% more in conspiracy theories than secure people. Thinking style also predicts whether or not people even believe that there is a pandemic underway. Traditional health information campaigns are not expected to be an effective strategy for this group of individuals who harbour profound distrust and lack of confidence in government and other institutions. Information campaigns may in fact prove counterproductive. In terms of scientific knowledge, the research demonstrated a link between those in the population with a lower level of scientific knowledge that was complicated by valuing beliefs over empirical knowledge. Let's read the following two statements. Just because evidence conflicts with my current beliefs does not mean my beliefs are wrong. Regardless of the topic, what you believe to be true is more important than evidence against your beliefs. Are you more likely to agree or disagree with these statements? The research found that those who disagreed with the statements are more likely to be vaccine hesitant. They are more likely to weigh their personal beliefs and intuition more heavily in their decision making than empirical evidence. What comes first? Beliefs and attitudes that are guided by evidence, or beliefs and attitudes that are formed without any evidence? Studies have shown that people often form a belief or attitude first, and only then are they motivated to search for evidence which supports their belief. You have three different cognitive biases at work here that is going to impact on how people think. When people are influenced by these thinking styles involving motivated reasoning, Kundan 1990, and confirmation bias, Nickerson 1998, they embrace weak evidence because it supports the desired conclusion and ignore evidence that is inconvenient or inconsistent with the preferred conclusion, considering it to be corrupt, incorrect, or irrelevant. This is further compounded by the well-known phenomenon that the less people know, the more they think they know. This Dunning-Kruger effect from Kruger and Dunning in 1999 and Pennycook et al. 2017, providing empirical evidence to fill the knowledge gap or correcting misinformation will not be effective for these individuals because this approach fails to address this biased information processing. The research in BE Works also showed that individuals who reported vaccine concerns was not as predictive to show vaccine hesitancy as may have been intuitively expected. When individuals are directly asked why they are hesitant to take a vaccine, they usually report worries about safety risks such as possible side effects, they may get COVID-19 from the vaccine, the lack of long-term empirical evidence, or a lack of trust in the speed of the vaccine development. These reports can lead to the tempting misinterpretation that providing information and evidence should help to assuage fears of the vaccine in these individuals and solve vaccine hesitancy. However, the history of psychological science tells us that there are considerable limitations to these self-reports. One of the limitations is that when we are questioned about why we feel the way we do, we are often consciously or unconsciously biased towards reasonable or rational responses. We want to give a good reason for our decisions. We often do this because we want to maintain a certain self-image as a rational individual. As a result, we may prefer to say our decision was influenced by safety fears and downplay the influence of other factors such as emotions or needle discomfort. In general, humans are much more comfortable providing rational reasons for our decisions and behaviour than stating publicly that our emotions are in charge. Another important limitation of focusing on these stated attitudes is that underlying psychological factors motivate us to hold strong to these vaccine safety beliefs, even in the face of contrary evidence. This means that when a safety concern is defeated, it can quickly be replaced by another because the underlying motivation for those concerns has not been addressed. So what is the way forward? The way forward is through scientifically informed strategies. Traditional communication strategies of providing clear, consistent and accurate information will not be enough to reach herd immunity and counter the human biases at work. To drive a successful vaccination rollout, interventions need to be tailored to the cognitive factors influencing individuals at each stage of vaccination intent. Each vaccination intention group needs to be treated separately. In effect, you have 3 challenges and not one. The research identified 3 main clusters of people characterized by different levels of those 4 cognitive factors each represent a different behavioural challenge. To drive COVID-19 vaccine uptake, 2 key strategies are required. You need to focus on the psychological mindsets underlying vaccine intentions, and to develop foundational interventions as well as differentiated strategies based on the specific cognitive factors for each vaccination intention segment. These overarching strategies to drive vaccine uptake can be brought into life in a number of different ways depending on the specific context, from public health announcements to businesses, healthcare practices to pharmacies. That's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd appreciate if you click on the like button. If you have any comments, please feel free to share them. I'm interested in your views on your own experiences on COVID-19 vaccination update and the cognitive biases influencing them. If you want to listen to more stories about cognitive biases at work, just subscribe to the channel. Thank you.